In doing a mitzvah, an act of good deed, a command of God, those things that bring us a connection to God, we create a pillar of light, metaphorically, that attaches us. Just as a metaphor, a pillar is connecting the roof of a building to the ground. And what holds up the pillar? The ground. What holds up the roof, the ceiling, the crown of the pillar? So the metaphor, the crown of the pillar, is the crown Kesser, which refers to the will of God, just like a crown on the king. It's beyond the mind of the king, the brain of the king. So the crown is the will of the person. So that metaphorically is the will of God. It crowns everything, what God wants. Think about it in human terms. What crowns you? In other words, what's above and beyond everything is what you want. What you want. Right? That encompasses. So when you really want something, that encompasses you, takes you over fully. So that's the concept of the will of God, which the will of God is his mitzvahs, 613 of them, and 7 rabbinic. That's 620, which is the numeric value of Kesser, crown. And it is the capital on top of the pillar that holds everything up. But ultimately, it only holds it up, the pillar, because it's attached to the ground. If you had a pillar, you cut it halfway and it's just hanging there, well, it's not holding up anything. But it's attached to the ground, it's holding up. What's the ground? The ground is the lowest thing. Metaphorically, it means our actions. The act of the mitzvahs that we do, therefore binds in that act that we do down here on earth to the heavens above, the will of God creates that pillar, a pillar of light that encompasses us. So what is that? Pillar of light is like a garment that is on my, covering my soul, just as a garment covers the body. So the mitzvah creates a garment that covers the soul, that pillar of light that allows my soul to have divine delight and pleasure, delighting in God. That's pretty powerful. That's quite amazing. Welcome to Tanya Today. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you for Chabad Zichron Kadesh in Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. We continue in the 29th letter, continuing on how the soul can have divine pleasure through the mitzvah that it does, through the light that we create. We create the light. We create the light that our soul then draws down through the act of the mitzvah that we do. In doing a mitzvah, there's two components. There's the act of the mitzvah, right? The act of giving charity. There's the act of putting on the tefillin, lighting Shabbos candles. Those are all actions. Even when it comes to prayer, there's an act in prayer, and that is saying and uttering, verbalizing the words, not just feeling the words, but verbalizing. That's the action of prayer. At the same time, there's also the intent in what we do. The intent, the kavanah, that we're doing it for the sake of heaven, that we're doing it with the awareness of that we're connecting to God through the mitzvah that we're doing. Both things are important and necessary. Now, when you do the act of the mitzvah, that allows your soul, as in the act you create doing the will of God in your actions, you're creating that pillar of light that surrounds you, surrounds your soul, that gives you the capability of having divine pleasure in the lower level of a Garden of Eden. Lower level of Garden of Eden, which is in the Garden of Eden in the world of Yetzirah. To get to the higher level of the Garden of Eden, that the soul should dare have even a greater divine delight, is that when the mitzvah is done, it's done with intent, with kavanah. Right. Done with intent. And that's superior. You create a superior light in the intent. Now, you can't go straight to the higher Gan Eden. You have to go from the lower to the higher, meaning you have to have the act. You can't have intent without the act. Doesn't work. You don't get there. And the only reason why the intent gets you to a higher level in the higher Gan Eden in the world of Bria is only because so God declared it. Not because there is inherently more value in one's intent versus one's actions. It's not inherently as such, right? It's not, but because it's radiating more of the divine will. In other words, we intuitively feel that my actions are only have a value for the intent. That intent is what matters, right? That you have good feelings in your heart towards another, good feelings to God, and you do it with proper intent, mindfulness. So if I pray, for example, and I have proper intent, but I don't verbalize it, what's the big deal? Well, no, it is a big deal. God wants you to verbalize it. He wants you to have intent. The value of the intent isn't because you give more value to it. It's because God gives more value to it. He gives more value. But at the same time, he gives value to the act itself, which means that we need both things. We can't get to the higher Garden of Eden without first going through the lower Garden of Eden. Therefore, we need the act of the mitzvah and the intent of the mitzvah. That's similar to if you want to be alive, you need a body, but a soul too. A soul without a body, well, you're not alive in this world at least, right? A body without a soul, you need both things. So you need the act of the mitzvah and you need the intent, the soulfulness, the mindfulness of the mitzvah. And that creates that pillar of light that encompasses us and allows the soul to experience divine delight in Gan Eden, the higher and lower ones. Very powerful. You have any questions, any comments, any thoughts? Folks? I don't see. Want to mention to thank everybody that has helped with the campaign, our Live with Chutzpah matching campaign. So successful that we're now going to a new goal. Our original goal was 300,000. Now our new goal is 360,000. So we're continuing the campaign until Sunday night. If anybody hasn't yet had the opportunity to give, I'm sure everybody wants to give back. I'm sure there isn't anybody here that doesn't want to give back, even if it's a little bit, because you can't afford a lot. That's okay. That's giving back, right? That's the act of giving. The intent that you want to give, but you don't do the act, doesn't really get you somewhere, right? That you really want to give, but no, just give. Again, even if it's a small amount, it's being doubled, first of all. We have backers are doubling so most of you have actually given already, and I want to thank you for that. But those who again didn't have the opportunity, we're still moving forward with it. And if you can send out and inspire someone else to give, that's even a bigger mitzvah, even a greater mitzvah when you inspire another to be giving. But yes, again, thank you very much. David asked a question, is it more important to have the intent and the active mitzvah or doing the mitzvah with simcha? Well, doing the mitzvah with simcha is part of the intent, right? That is intent. When you do a mitzvah with simcha, that's almost no greater intent than that. As we learning in the morning in the Hasidic discourse at 7:05 every morning, Mondays through Fridays, 7:05 Eastern Standard Time, as the Arizal, the Isaac Luria, the modern day sage Kabbalist, modern day in the 1500s. For us, that's pretty modern. Merited to have Ruach HaKodesh, to have divine inspiration, prophetic vision, because of the simcha, the joy that he had in doing mitzvahs. He had utter joy. Vicky, does the connection feel differently for each person? For sure. Yeah, feel differently and is apprehended and comprehended, perceived differently. I think that would be more precise. Okay. All right, folks. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine coming to you from Chabad Zurich and Kadesh in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Have an amazing day. Good Shabbos. Oh. Help us reach our goal of $300,000 so we can help so many people. I'm addressing you, our local and international community. We are counting on you to give generously to our Live with Chutzpah campaign. Click below charity.com/chutzpah. Thank you. All right.